Okay. Hello everyone. So, I hope you've all enjoyed your lovely food. Would we all agree that food was amazing? Compliments to the chefs. Well done. So now we come to the really exciting part of the evening, which is the speeches. And to kick us all off, we have the father of the bride, Martin. So let's put our hands together for Martin.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much, everybody, for coming today. Really has been beyond my expectations, so, you know, fantastic. I'm going to put my glasses on because I can't see one. Just in case nobody knows who we are, Vivian, Martin, and we are Catherine's mum and dad, but I'm sure you all know by now. So, we are truly lucky to be here today because what with everything that's been going on recently, really, Catherine and Mike have been so committed and remain strong in the run-up to this event to make sure that it takes place. It was only a couple of weeks ago when the lockdown measures were eased that it became apparent that we were going to be able to go ahead with this day. And an awful lot of people behind the scenes have gone that extra mile to make sure that today can take place. I don't know if you know this, but actually all of the Amazon staff have agreed to work overtime just to deal with Catherine's last minute orders. Believe you me, there have been a lot of them. Jess, one of the lovely bridesmaids, I was say bridesmaids, but one of the lovely ahead of my time. One of the lovely bridesmaids here has actually delayed childbirth. We have, and I think we were fairly close to it in the back of the camper van. And Sam, which is Catherine's brother, he was here a little earlier today. He's actually almost performing something out of a scene from Mrs. Doubtfire, where he's actually the best man for another wedding, which is taking place right now as I speak. So he's found himself in two places at the same time almost. Now, of course, knowing the speech was going to be required, I did probably what everybody else would do, which is I googled the internet for guidance. and it said, what you should do is you should at least comment on how lovely your daughter looks and how proud you are of her. And I thought straight away, dear oh dear, this is going to be difficult. Not because she's not beautiful, but because I'm not very good at sort of pink and fluffy public displays of affection. However, I will say that today, seeing Cat and Mike actually, it's not difficult to say that we couldn't have asked for a more wonderful daughter, and I'm sure you'll both agree that the two of them really look like something out of a Hello magazine. Especially Mike with that pink tie, which won't be forgotten. So, both Vivian and myself, we're delighted because not only is Mike a great guy, but he also comes complete with two lovely parents in Richard and Edith. And I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking them for their help and support in the run-up to this event. What with all the lockdown restrictions, it's not been easy to share time together. But rest assured, we are looking forward to imposing ourselves on you at short notice for tea, biscuits and a gossip about the newlyweds. It would only be right for me to ask us to spare a thought for Catherine and Mike's friends and relatives that have not been able to be with us today. You obviously all made the A-list. But you know, through circumstances beyond everybody's control, You know, unfortunately, they've not been able to be with us, but we look forward to their company in future celebrations. I was going to say, but I'm going to have to adapt this slightly. I was going to say that, of course, of the people that we do have here today, we do have a number of different generations. So we've got Catherine's grandparents, who've effectively been waiting for this day for the past 29 years. And I wanted to say that at the other end of the scale, we do have little Harper, which is Catherine's niece, 9 months old. Unfortunately, she had a prior engagement, but I'm told that she is here in spirit. Now, this is the bit, we've now done the bit of the speech that's a bit but we now get on to the better. So going back to when Catherine told me that she met this guy and he was sort of special. Like most fathers, I was very interested. What's he like? And I asked all the important questions straight away. Does he ski? I need a ski buddy. Does he like cycling? I need one of those too. Is he good with his hands? Of course, DIY. And it turns out that really all of those questions were absolutely irrelevant because, most importantly, he's a kind, caring guy with a lot of energy and humour in everything that he does. So, as I said earlier, I actually feel that I now have another son. So, just going back actually to our first encounter. Do you remember what that was, Mike? Do you remember? It was in fact our first encounter that gave me great insight into one of Mike's traits. You know, his strong traits. Admirable. Basically, we set off to purchase a new sofa, second-hand sofa for Catherine. She had a flat, and we jumped in the car, and off we went. And I thought, this is ideal. This is going to give me the opportunity, using my investigative skills from past, to find out what the real Mike is like. Well, I don't mind telling you, it was soon evident that I'd met my match, because I thought, you know, could there be anybody else that's more focused on a bargain than me? Well, that's your man. That's your man. Throughout the course of the journey, the discussion Mike had was around price negotiation strategies when we got there. I thought this guy's good. And it turns out, by the time we got to this lady's address, Mike had actually worked out a way that she was going to have to pay us £40 to take the sofa away. He's good. Now, part of welcoming Mike into our circle of trust is all about giving advice, sharing best practice. And it's very typical at this sort of stage of any father's speech to start talking about some of the more embarrassing moments of their daughter. But I'm not going to do that, you'll be pleased to know, because I actually think that the best advice I could give you would be based on what I've experienced for the last 32 years being married to Vivian. Because this is more than likely what you are going to marry into. So I have actually got a list of 4 do's and don'ts, okay? And I think that if you follow these, it will lead you to a more serene and frugal life. The first one. Some of these you're going to be familiar with already, Mike, so I don't want to insult your intelligence because you're bound to be doing these already. But the first one is when Catherine drags you out shopping for a dress, for goodness sake, the first dress she tries on, tell her it looks fantastic. Okay? Specifically, tell her her bum looks small in it. Because you do not want to waste needless hours being dragged around changing rooms when you could be at home watching the football. Secondly, when Catherine says, oh, I've had these shoes for ages. You recognise a new pair of shoes. I've had these shoes for ages. Pretend to believe her. Because she will tell you that. Now the third one, and this is one that I'm quite proud of actually, this piece of advice, and there may even be others amongst you that want to take up on this, because it's a good one. You may find, like I did, after a number of years, you might notice that your combined wealth begins to diminish. And you think, it's as if the money's leaking or something. And you think, well, how can this be? In comes a solution and a bit of advice. I think I might have mentioned this one before, but I can only urge you to take up on this one. I have here, and you can use the template. This is called a MAP Form 1. Now, MAP stands here for Martin Application Form 1. But conveniently, it can stand for Mike Application Form 1. It's really simple. When Catherine wishes to make a purchase, she simply completes the MAP Form 1 in triplicate. She hands it to you. You can review the spend and the reason for the spend. After giving it considerable thought, you can either authorise or decline, with a little explanation should you decline. 3 copies, one for yourself, one for Catherine, and one that you can file documentary evidence, always useful. Okay. I think we're pretty much there. But I was going to say that on a serious note, 32 years ago, I chose Vivian, and I chose pretty well. So I rest assured you've chosen well. It does really just remain for me to wish you both a happy, healthy future. I'm sure you will be happy. I think you are the perfect couple. Perhaps if I could ask people to stand and raise their glasses. It will be a toast to Mike and Kat, the bride and groom. To the bride and groom.
Thank you, Martin. Mike, don't forget that fall. Okay, so now we hand over to the groom, Mr. Michael Skelton.
He's saying today, I'm going to be glad when this is over, and I think things, but it's just been such a reflection of what Kat and I have been through. Just not sure what's going to happen, is going to happen. We're just relieved to be here. But we shouldn't have that view. We're just happy to be here in this moment. We're sharing it with you. Before I go any further, let me introduce Mrs. Catherine Skelton. As a teacher, I'm going to apologise now. This is a lifetime of Mrs. Skeleton. The ones that you're going to really want to punch in the face are those that call you Mrs. Skeleton and believe they're the first ever person to make it. Like Martin, I googled what to do. I haven't done a groom speech before, and one of the things that they said was about the proposal. Sorry, not the proposal, but the asking the parents for their permission. And I did that very sneakily just over a year ago before we went to Greece on holiday. And I had Vivian and Martin come and look at my new car. Vivian didn't want to come out to the car, so I had to initially force her out. And I said to them, I was so nervous, just about as nervous as I am right now, that I said, can I have your permission to marry your daughter? And they said, you don't need our permission. And then Martin quickly said, can we tell people? And Vivian replied, well, she hasn't said yes yet. It was feeling filled with confidence. But Martin replied, she'd be a fool to say no. And at that point, I knew I had a plan B. The second thing they said on Google about groom speech is about the first time you met, and you know, what went through your mind? Was it love at first sight? Were you awestruck by her beauty? Well, I vividly remember meeting Kat for the first time. It was a sunny day in July 2014. Do you remember? Yeah, she does. She doesn't. She's lying. I remember. And I just got a job at the school that Kat worked at, which was Ellswood. And I was there to visit for a day to meet the team. And it was such a sunny day. And in the afternoon, they said, "Oh, the Miss Collins and another teacher on the field doing some learning outside." And I was so excited because I was like, outdoor learning. I just can't wait to learn to see what they're doing. And as I walked down, I remember seeing you for the first time. And I just stopped and looked around and thought, how shambolic. There was no learning. Kat had rolled up her skirt at inappropriate levels. And then at one point a child came up who needed medical attention and was told to run it off. So I'm not going to share my first thoughts. Sarah, probably not in you can probably tell the speech is a little bit last minute. 8 days ago, we didn't think we'd have this barn here. I've said it's been a roller coaster ride, but it's such a special moment for you to be here with us. It's just great. So thank you so much for coming. And it's all coming together. It's literally an answer to prayer, and it's just been a mad week. But this vision here today is down to Kat. I never thought of spray painting books and wrapping them in wallpaper. I never thought of writing on pallets. She literally blew my mind to the next level of creativity. And at times during the week, this last week, I dared to question. And that's where I learned my first lesson in marriage. Smile, nod, and comply. And there were key moments in the run-up to this wedding where actually we didn't think it was going to happen at all. The face masks coming into the church, that it just didn't sit comfortably with Kat and I. Well, I think you'll all agree that all the ushers look better with face masks. So that was too easy. But at one point, I think it was when we got an email to say that the scaffolding outside the church, which should have been finished, wasn't going to be finished. Kat turned to me and said, it's just one disappointment after the other. And like the revelation I had, I think this was her first lesson in married life as a woman, one disappointment. Kat, as a bride, I tell you what, she's had more to deal with than most. And let me just tell you, the way she's conducted herself and everything that she's done has just made me love her more and more, which I didn't actually think was possible. And everything, everything that's been thrown at us has just brought us closer together. And like when you struggled, I've been there for you. When I've struggled, you've been there for me. So I've loved to see those new depths of our relationship in this. And I love that today, this isn't about today. Otherwise, I guess we would have postponed. The fact that we did want to rush it through led to some conspiracy theories. Obviously, pregnancy being one, but I think the amount Kat strung today. I think my friends have just said, I've got to tie her down before she comes to her senses. And I have. But whatever the reason, it doesn't actually matter because it's here and we're enjoying it and we're doing it. I mentioned Kat's vision and drive, but we couldn't have done it without her parents. All this lovely bunting is from Vivian, and my parents as well. And Kaz has done loads of calligraphy. We've literally had to try and stop her. At one point, she was going to put calligraphy over the toilet paper. It's been a lot of hard work behind the scenes. And so I know I'm going to just raise a mid-toast to Kat's vision and those who helped. So Kat's vision and those who helped. And on that note, we haven't been very discreet as Vivian and Mum, but there are some flowers for each of you. You probably guessed maybe behind, but this is for you, and this is for you. If we could just give these guys a big clap. So as I say, Kat and I met at work, and for a year and a half we were colleagues. And for 6 months of that, she was effectively called my student.
Training teacher.
Training teacher. Well, Kat loved to tell people she was my student. And when they found out we were dating and I was a primary school teacher, it caused certain looks. And I think people thought it wasn't so much a courtship, but more grooming. But it was during that time when Kat and I were working together that we slowly grew closer and closer together. I think it was a Ross and Rachel thing. I know Sarah kept mentioning it. And I remember we were playing together one day and a song came on in the background which was played in the church today, which was Birdie Wings. And Kat turned to me and said, I want this song to play at my wedding. And little did I know that she'd be marrying me. Maybe it was a subtle hint. But my reply was, I think this song will be better at a funeral. And I think that's what we call in the business, flirty banter. As Martin said, no one can deny Kat's beauty. But you know, the more I got to know her, there's a quiet determination about her. Watch her cycle. She's like a little hamster going around. So determined. But she's caring, she's fun, she's got a great sense of adventure, and all these qualities just kept my head turning, and they still do as we discover more. So I had this plan for my life, and it was a good plan, and Kat came and turned that all upside down. And it's when you meet a person like that, it's worth stopping and taking note of. However, if I'd known then how you react to wasps, it might be a different story. She literally develops Tourette's and runs a mile. The amount of lovely meals she's ruined, and we've had to leave. I think if you've been on Instagram, you would have seen our trip kayaking around the coast of Croatia. What you didn't see on the ground was the wasps. And that didn't stay very long anymore. And you know, what Kat and I have is so very special, and I feel really blessed to have you in my life, Kat. And of course, Smithy the cat. I was on strict instructions to make sure. Kat thinks she's like, I wish Smithy could be here. She would be a nightmare. She'd be swiping at you, it would be deluded. A few years ago, my brother-in-law, Neil, who can't be here today for various reasons, spoke at a family event about coincidences. And that my sister and I, we're twins, but we share the same birthday, that's not a coincidence. Our nephew also shares that birthday, and there's lots of other things, but it's really quite lovely connections. And in a similar vein, today, this isn't the first time in history that Michael Skelton has married a Catherine with a K. As my granddad, I never actually got to meet him. My dad's dad, I'm named after him, but he married in October 1936 my Nana Catherine. an important area in my life is my faith. I'm quite private about it in many respects, and it's brought me a lot of comfort in this time leading up to the wedding. But I guess with a faith, you don't believe in coincidences, but more fate. And I do not believe that Kat and I met by accident. When I flew back to the UK to be interviewed for the school, it wasn't at Earlswood, it was another school. Earlswood was just a plan B, and I didn't want that job. And I got offered both, and I chose that one, and we met. And then the first night, when we kissed, you had other plans, or a text at the last minute, and they've fallen through, so you came. And I had other plans, I should have left early. And it's just these small little things that come together in life that have brought us together. And each step that we've taken has been such an adventure, and I cherish each moment I spent with you so much. And I love that we push each other out of our comfort zones. I know we've been done loads of travelling together, but equally I just love the day-to-day, just like chilling on the couch with it on it. And I truly believe that we are meant to be together, and I can't imagine my life without you. And I'm so excited for the road ahead. I know it's not going to be easy, and the prayer that Kate said in the church, that's Kate's voice over here, that had so much love and truth in it, and thank you so much for that. And I can't wait to wake up tomorrow with you by my side as Mrs. Skelton and embark on this new adventure in life. So, we need to raise a toast. It's not to you. It's to the bridesmaids who have just done such an incredible job. You've kept her calm, you've kept her glass topped up, and you've done all the important things. So thank you for that. And thank you to my ushers and my best man for all the work that they've done. We look like the cast of The In-Betweeners. But this toast is for the bridesmaids. So please can we be upstanding if we can. And now I can relax. I'm not looking forward to this moment past this microphone. At the In-Betweeners car.
Well done, Mike. Fantastic. Okay. So, just want to clarify one thing straight away. Mike was my best man 6 years ago. And one guest at the wedding that didn't know Mike said, he ruined you. So, just bear that in mind. Only joking. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here with you. And it's amazing that we have, and Martin touched on it earlier, that we've managed to reach this wonderful day. Because for a long time, there's a possibility it wouldn't happen at all. Mike getting married, that is. So my name's Lewis. I've been married. I've known Mike for the last 20 years. And it's my privilege and honour, behind all of the jokes, to be part of Kat and Mike's special day. And to be able to share a little bit of Mike's story. Kat, you look beautiful, and you make the perfect bride. And again, Martin, your words earlier could not be more perfect. Congratulations on your bargain purchase of Michael Skelton. Bargain is a great place to start with Mike, because Mike would always, without fail, and I'll tell you now, this isn't in here, this happened at 2:30 today. We walk into the church and the lovely lady says, boys, your suits look great. Now, any other human being would say, thanks so much, but not my best friend. His response was, thanks, yeah, they were really cheap, we got them in the sale. Mike will always tell you without fail about the bargains he finds in shops. Whether that's a discount in Sainsbury's to the 95% off section in Topman. And he'll do anything to get a good bargain, even if it means squeezing into a tight top or buying a bunch of flowers that are wilting but much cheaper than the more expensive bunch above. Mike is probably the only guy who would turn up to a date with wine, chocolates, flowers with a total cost of £1. And I'll probably pass their sell-by date. But actually, Kat, that's something you've helped to improve in Mike. Mike would always turn up to people's houses empty-handed. He'd be known for this. In fact, he was so bad at bringing anything to someone's house, you'd almost think he was expecting you to give him something for coming round. But thankfully, Kat's helped to remove that trait of Mike's. So before I go on with a few stories about Mike Joe Fish Skelton, that's right, Kaz laughed because she knows why I'm talking about. Mike could not pronounce his middle name, Joseph, deep into his teens, I hear. But it was Joe Fish. So, the big question is, and Mike gets very bolshy and defensive when I say this, what has Kat exactly helped improve in Mike's life since they've become a couple? A fair bit, safe to say. So first of all, those who've known Mike for a long time would know he's not a huge fan of updating his wardrobe, particularly for the sake of it. He would literally wear his clothes until they were in a state of disrepair. Despite several fashion changes and society changes over the years, he would either do that or seek every possible charity shop within a 2-mile radius to search out those bargains. Mike David Dickinson Skelton was the real deal. An example of this can be seen in his wearing of his Children's Trust teddy bear t-shirt. I know what you're all thinking right now. A full-grown man wearing a teddy bear t-shirt sounds surreal, right? Not for our Mike. He would wear that t-shirt to social gatherings, travelling around the world, and I've even heard rumours that back in the day he even wore it on a few dates. And you wonder why he was single for so long. Added to this, Mike also developed a minor obsession with his Irish rugby top. Mike, like the teddy bear t-shirt, would wear it anywhere he could. He was once heard saying, "I like this top because it looks tight." The reality was it was too small. Which leads me very much on to another fashion faux pas. It would be rude of me not to mention the turtleneck wearing days. I remember a day clearly back in January 2016 when an excited Mike told me he grabbed himself a bargain, shock, and this was going to be the focus of his birthday night out the following week. Excited by this move away from his 1980s attire, he showed me what I would soon describe as one of the most hideous purchases in memory, the turtleneck jumper. Ladies and gentlemen, when you think of turtlenecks, what comes to your mind? Let me tell you what Google came up with. Turtlenecks, popular in the 1920s, and usually worn by pretentious intellectuals, writers, designers, poets, and Mike. And what was Mike's response when he made this disastrous purchase? It's great because it keeps my neck warm and I look trendy. Oh Mike, oh Mike. Safe to say, after a few weeks after this Titanic of fashion disasters, Mike would get with Kat and the turtleneck would resume its place in the bargain bin at Oxfam, never to be seen again. Fashion sense corrected and improved with Kat, so well done Kat. And Mike, welcome to dressing in the 21st century, mate. Now, for those of you who know Mike, you'll be familiar that he's travelled the world. Whether that's America, Sri Lanka or elsewhere, he is a well-travelled individual and had a particularly long time in Africa, didn't you, bro? 3 mission trips to Africa with our church to Tanzania, followed by a 2-year stint teaching in Kenya. Safe to say our Mike's had a few African stories. Whether it was the time he missed seeing the lions on safari because he was having a wee, or the time his cleaner in Kenya stole his chinos off the washing line, or perhaps telling everyone in the UK regularly that he climbed the highest mountain, second highest mountain in Africa, Mount Kenya, every single month, or perhaps the time in Tanzania when he accidentally mistook an African woman's breast for a child which he was greeting in the village and thought it was the second child of a pair of twins. Or perhaps the time that he had an unfortunate incident at the breakfast table of mistaking a moment of flatulence which saw him running to the toilet like Usain Bolt. Mike's response to this? It takes a brave man to fart in Africa. So where does Kat fit into all this, you might ask? What many wouldn't realise is that before Kat moved into Mike's house, his place resembled somewhat of a shrine to his time in Africa. Several African paintings surrounded every part of every wall in his house. A rather strange wooden hanging donkey head hung above the doorframe as you entered the house. And his range of Kenyan Kikoi fashion hung from his wardrobes alongside the teddy bear t-shirt and the turtleneck jumper. Also not forgetting, he had his guitar displayed in the corner of the lounge like he was Red Hill's answer to Eric Clapton and a local rock god. But the reality is he can only play the opening chords of Tracy Chapman's Fast Car and not much else. Since Cat's arrival, the African Art Gallery is no more and has been replaced with pastel pinks, scented candles and plump cushions, which are much more to Cat's liking, and Mike's if he's honest. In fact, Mike, come to think of it, mate, since Cat's moved in, you've done pretty well. New kitchen, carpet, garden makeover, and shutters, which has probably added considerable equity for your home. For someone who likes to watch their pennies, you've clearly got a winner in Cat. That includes his TV choices. Mike used to be anti-reality TV. Now, you'll find Mike sat with my wife discussing the favourites in the Love Island final and many other different reality shows that he likes to watch. Now, as well as Mike's adventures around the world, he's also had some pretty amazing adventures in the city of Newcastle, birthplace of his lovely mum and home to his beloved Nana Pet. This would be where Mike would spend a number of years at university. This would also be where Mike would study the degree that got him to the place he is today, geography and sport. I'm only joking. This degree hasn't been touched since 2007 and gets used in a local pub quiz. Oh dear, I've lost my phone. There we go. Newcastle provides some fantastic memories for Mike too. Whether it was his first dab at parenting with his pet hamster Mrs. Jingles. Mrs. Jingles, yeah. He even held a funeral for her. Being chased by a group of 14-year-old boys who asked him for money and led to him running into a random person's car and shouting, "Just drive!" Or perhaps the time he fainted and hit his head in the bath, requiring staples in his head. Rumour is that he had just been shown his cost of his latest electricity bill. Newcastle will always be a special place to Mike, and having gone to uni there myself, it's easy to see why. One fond memory I have of travelling to Newcastle with Mike was sitting in the back of his parents' car, playing Connect 4 and listening to Susan Boyle's album on repeat. I know what you're all thinking, coolness personified, and we were in our mid-20s. Mike and I have had some interesting adventures over the years, whether it's dodgy delivery jobs, university, African trips, or visiting Valencia's La Tomatina, the world's biggest tomato fight, and literally having a near-death experience infused by tomatoes. Rooming with Mike in Africa was an experience. An experience. I remember the first night we were in Africa. Myself, Mike, and Johnny over there, we'd all settled into our room. It's 9 p.m. Excitement about our new surroundings. We expected conversation deep into the night, only to look across to Mike with his eye mask on, assuming the pharaoh sleeping position and completely out of it. Followed by the next night, when Mike would be looking at both of us, saying, "Please, can you pray for me, guys? The bleach on this mattress is in my eyes, and I can't sleep." The same mattress that we all slept on, we're absolutely fine with. Well done, Mike. As mentioned, Mike isn't much of a late night person, and to him, a big night with the lads is a game of Mario Kart when no one beats him on Cooper Trooper, although everyone does, and bed with his Horlicks at 9 p.m. Mike's also got a really soft side. I remember one occasion we were sat on his sofa at the flat in our tiger onesies watching The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. We were sat next to each other, cuddling each other with tears running down our face, snuggling into our pillows. On another occasion, we were at a friend's wedding in Southampton. The reception was over, and now we're at the local pub karaoke. Over the years, people would not know here, we were dubbed the New Boy Zone. Of course, we went up to sing our go-to song, Father and Son. As Mike approached the crescendo of the song, a full-on bar brawl broke out. Chairs being thrown all over the place, men and women fighting, women screaming for their life. What did Mike do in this dangerous, surreal moment? He continued singing, of course, like the performer that he is. Mike and Kat in more recent times have brought their own little baby into the world with the arrival of Miffy the cat. And she has pride of place in their house, with frames once filled with their close friends, now filled with pictures of little Miff. She is treated like their own animal toddler. How many people do you know that give their kitten time-outs for poor behaviour choices? Or perhaps the first feline fitness programme, aka yoga for cats. Miffy's definitely given them a few sleepless nights. So what else can I say about Mike? All jokes aside, he's always been one of the most genuine and lovely people you could ever meet. Fun, loving and caring to all those that know him. Mike has always been someone that people are naturally drawn towards. Fiercely competitive on the sports field, Mike is a driven individual who will always look ahead at the bigger picture. Mike has always been a huge advocate of family and has always been willing to help anyone who needs it. Having 20 years of friendship with him, I can honestly say it's been a privilege. Mike is naturally talented, and whether that is within his career, his preaching, or in the things he partakes in, he achieves highly. He's a great friend with a great character. He's always got your back and will support you through anything. I love you, mate. Harry and Lulu forever. Kat, you're the perfect match for Mike. The two of you together are the perfect mix and bring out each other's best qualities. In Mike, you're guaranteed to laugh until you're crying, or cry until you're laughing. In Kat, you're guaranteed to have the perfectly organised house, and she'll ensure that you are styled and profiled, ready for socialising. Kat, you've always been a shining light in Mike's life, and you're the missing piece of the skeleton puzzle. To both of you, we'll be praying for you as you begin your journey into married life, and I know that there'll be lots of exciting adventures ahead. So I ask you all to stand now for me. And please charge your glasses to the bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Skelton.